Closed captioning of this program is brought to you by
Yamaha on the water. This is my Yamaha. What kind of Yamaha are you?
You know, one of the key things that you have to do when you're fishing the Niagara is make sure that your weight or your three-way rig is on the bottom. See how I'm turning the boat here? Because the current is actually going upriver now, going towards Niagara Falls. If you watch my rod tip, you can actually see my weight hitting the bottom. So a technique that works really well here is trying to keep the boat in such a position that your line is as vertical as possible while you're still touching the bottom. And that means that you're constantly working the electric back and forth to try to keep your line going up and down. Because you can see how fast I'm moving here. Today we don't have a lot of wind. On some days when you get a lot of wind that actually pushes you into the current or with the current, the electric is even more important. So this is all you do. I'm actually using the current to deliver my bait to the fish, but I got to keep it close to the bottom. You know, this is amazing. To be able to come out here in this cold weather and to bounce bottom 20 to 30 feet down and to get these gorgeous big trout to hit, it's just unbelievable. It's a real Canadian experience. Oh, I can see that fish. This is a beautiful silver female and she's really plump. You can probably hear that wind. That wind is picked up. It's about 20 or 30 kilometers an hour and it is cold. So what I'm going to do is try to get this fish around. This is a much brighter fish than some of the other fish we've been catching. And I'm just going to have to get the net. I'm going to work it over here. Look at this. What a gorgeous migratory rainbow trout. Okay, I've got it in the net. I'm going to get it down on the floor. You know, the nice thing about these nets are that they're plastic coated. So even though the fish is laying there, it shouldn't thrash around too much. Now here, when you're fishing the Niagara River, you have to be very careful. If you look out on the outside of the boat, you can see the big swirls of current that are swirling around. And on the inside here, we have this backdrift. And that noise that you hear is the actual ice hitting the hull of the boat. That's how cold it is. So I'm just going to get control back of the boat. And I'll tell you, these electrics are invaluable. And I'm going to show you how gorgeous this rainbow is. She's hooked just in the side of the mouth. And you know what? This fish has also broken somebody else off. I got my hook out, and there is another hook right here that I'm going to try to get out. Look at this. There's another hook from another fisherman. Small hook, and I'll just put that down here on my bag. You never know, I might use it later. And let me just get my rubberized mitts on to show you here. You can see that this is a plump female rainbow, and I'll see if I can keep her in the net. And slow down. It's going to be released in a moment. I just want to hold it up for you so you can see it. That fish is about, I'm guessing, 3.5 to 4 pounds. And you can see how bright silver it is. That means that it hasn't been in the Niagara River very long. I'll tell you what, I'm glad that I've got these mitts on. So I'm just going to lay the fish down and I'm going to get it over the side. And even though we're out in the main current, we should be okay. Just try to control the boat a little bit. What I got to do is try not to get ice inside the actual net. You can see how strong that current is. That fish should be ready to go in just a moment. This live release net is so nice. And come on, nice rainbow. You're going to go back into the river. And there it goes. For fishing big waters like the Niagara River in the wintertime, it's so important to have a good boat and to have the electronics so you can control the boat even in the current. This electric trolling motor that I'm using is 84 pound thrust. It's got a lot of power. I can actually troll with it if I wanted about 4 or 5 miles an hour. But here I'm using the electric to control my drift and also when I get a fish on to keep the boat out of the main current. And I'm always looking at this sonar. You can see that there's a boat fishing just ahead of us here. They're fishing the inside of the drift. You can see on the sonar that it's 35 feet and climbing. So you can see how it's getting a little bit shallower here. These migratory rainbow trout are laying on the 20 to about 18-foot shelf, which is between here and the shoreline. And these are actually bait fish that are here just below the surface. And you can see the water temperature is literally freezing. It's 31 Fahrenheit at the surface. And I'm not surprised because you can see the ice all over the surface of the water and you can hear it hitting the hull of the boat. So we're just starting to get up on that ledge. The bait fish though are up high. That's okay because we're getting those steelhead bottom bouncing right here on the bottom in about 20 feet of water.